Hi, first grade friends. Hope y'all had a great weekend. It is Monday and it's time for us to get started on our math lesson. Well, since it's Monday, we have to do our number talks. Now, last week I tried to put them on slides and that was really tough. So we're going to try it a different way today. And if it doesn't work, we might do something else different next week. It's all about flexibility right now. So thank you for being so flexible and so willing to just roll with the punches. All right, so the first part that we're going to do, you're going to be looking at my screen back here. I'm trying to get it. There you go. And I'm going to step up and we're going to talk about some of the pictures. Remember, I'm only going to give you 3 seconds to look, and then I want you to tell me how many you see and how you see them. And then we're going to write an equation to match each one. So you won't see me right now, but you're definitely going to hear me. Are you ready? All right, here's the first one. Now remember, I'm only going to give you about 3 seconds to see it. All right, friends, with somebody that's sitting close to you, I want you to tell them how many dots you saw. And tell that person how you saw them. Now, let's look at the picture together. How many dots do you see? Say it with me. I see 8 dots. Way to go, friends. Now, let's look. How do you see them? You might have said, I see 2 dots on top and 6 dots on the bottom. If I were to put that into an equation, I would say 2 plus 6 equals 8. Let's read that equation together. 2 plus 6 equals 8. Nice job. Are you ready for your next picture? Remember, you're only going to get 3 seconds. Ready? Tell someone near you how many dots you saw. How did you see them? You might have said, I saw 8 dots. If you said that, pat yourself on the back. But how did you see them? You might have said, I see 4 dots on the top and 4 dots on the bottom. Let's write an equation to match that. 4 plus 4 equals 8. Say that with me. 4 plus 4 equals 8. Nice job. Here's your next dot sequence. Now, tell someone near you how many dots you saw. How did you see them? Now let's look at it a little closer. You might have said, I see 1 dot on top, 6 dots in the middle, and 1 dot on the bottom. Let's write an equation to match that. I see 1 dot on top. I see 6 dots in the middle. And I see 1 dot on the bottom. That equals 8 dots total. Oh, ready? Boop, there's the 8. I ran out of room on that one, didn't I? All right, now I'm going to show you some 10 frames. I'm going to ask you how many dots you see, how you see them, and how many more we need to get to 10. Are you ready? Let's take a look at this one. How many dots do you see? Tell someone near you. How do you see them? How many more dots do you need to get to 10? You might have said, I see 8 dots. I see 4 dots on the top and 4 dots on the bottom. I need 2 more dots to get to 10. Last week, we looked at a warm-up problem that looked something like this. Do you remember how I talked about the sneaky people putting the equal sign at the front? This says a full 10 frame would be 8 dots and how many more? How many more dots did you say we needed to get to 10? I think I heard someone say it. 2? That's right, because 8 plus 2 equals 10. Here's your next 10 frame. How many dots do you see? How do you see them? How many more dots do we need to get to 10? You might have said, I see 8 dots. There are 3 dots on the top and 5 dots on the bottom. I need 2 more dots to equal 10? One more 10 frame to look at. What do you see on this 10 frame? How many dots do you see? How do you see them? How many more dots do you need to get to 10? You probably said, I see 8 dots. I see 5 dots on the top and 3 dots on the bottom. I need 2 more dots to equal 10. Nice job, friends. Now we are going to move to an actual Reck and Rec instead of one that I had to make up online. All right, let me get situated. All right, so for those of you that don't know what a Reck and Rec is, this is what a Reck and Rec actually looks like. It kind of reminds me of something called an abacus that we had when I was a little girl. So I'm going to show you some beads on the top and beads on the bottom. And I want you to tell me how many I have all together. Are you ready? How many beads do I have all together? I heard someone say it. I have 8 beads. How many are on the top? How many are on the bottom? What would be a good equation that would match this? I'll give you a hint. Top plus bottom equals total. How many do I have on the top? 4. How many do I have on the bottom? 4. What is 4 plus 4? That's right. 4 plus 4 is 8. Are you ready for your next one? All right, here we go. How many beads do I have? Did you say 8? Good job. What would be the equation that would match this Reck and Rec? Top plus bottom equals total. Let's say it together. 3 plus 5 equals 8. Good job. Now I'm going to ask you a very tricky question. Are you ready? I said, are you ready? Which one has more? Top or bottom? I heard someone say it. It's bottom. 5 is more than 3. Nice job. Oh, here's a tricky one. All right, you ready? How many beads are on the Reck and Rec? That's right. There are 8 beads on the Reck and Rec. Who can give me an equation that would match this Reck and Rec? Let me see who's got their hand up. All right, let's say one together. 8 plus 0 equals 8. Now, here is a super duper tricky question. Which one has the least? The least. Is it the top or the bottom? Someone said it. It's the bottom. 0 is less than 8 because 8 is more than 0. One more, and then we're going to get started with our lesson. Here we go. How many beads are showing on my reckon rack? You figured it out. It's 8. What would be an equation to match this? Let's say it together. 1 plus 7 equals 8. Nice job, friends. All right, so let's get into our lesson. Be patient as I move the screen over. All right, here we go. Now, last week on Friday, we were working on story problems, and today we're going to continue that practice. So our lesson for today is SL1F Story Problems Day 2. All right, my friends, our clear learning target is at the bottom. I will read it first, and then we will read it together. I can solve various story problems. Read it with me, please. I can solve various story problems. Nice job. So last year, when you were in kindergarten, you learned to solve story problems. Today, we're going to solve some different types of story problems. Here is launch number 1. If you need to get out your whiteboard or a piece of paper, this is the time to do it. So push pause, and when you're ready to start, you may push play. If you're ready, here we go. Launch number 1. Lucy had 8 flowers. She picks 2 more flowers. How many flowers does she have now? I'm going to read it again. Are you ready? Lucy had 8 flowers. She picks 2 more flowers. How many flowers does she have now? You may use a picture or a model and write an equation to show your thinking. Lucy had 8 flowers. She picks 2 more flowers. How many flowers does she have now? With your picture or your model, what number are we going to start with first? How many did she have in the beginning? Yes, she had 8 flowers. Then she picks 2 more flowers. What does that mean? If you get more of something, do you have a bigger number or do you have a smaller number? Yes, you have a bigger number. If I get more of something, my number goes from this to this because it gets bigger or it gets larger. So looking at your picture, my question is, how many flowers does she have now? If you need more time with this equation, push pause now. So now that we're looking at your picture, With the person that's sitting close to you, we're going to talk about these questions. Ready? With the person that you're sitting with, show them in your model the 8 flowers that Lucy started with. Now, show the person that you're working with where your 2 more flowers are. Now, this is the most important part. Where do you see the answer? And what does this answer represent? Does it represent stinky shoes? Does it represent bags of dog food? No, it represents flowers. How did you know to add? Tell the person that's sitting with you how you figured out to add. If you need more time to go over these discussion questions, push pause now. I wanted to show you my thinking. So at the top with this bright pink, this represents the 8 flowers that Lucy had at the beginning. Let's make sure I have 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Here are my 8 flowers. The next thing that happened is she picks 2 more flowers. So I added 2 more circles. Let's count. 1, 2. My equation should match my picture. 8 plus 2 equals, that's right, 8 plus 2 equals 10. If you don't know that, you can go back and count your counters or the pictures. Here we go. Let's count together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can count the purple flowers and the blue flowers. I see 10 flowers in all. 10 represents the number of flowers that I have in all. I added or put together the flowers because the problem said picked more and how many in all. Here is launch number 2. 7 apples were on the table. I ate 2 apples. How many apples are on the table now? Use a picture model and an equation to show your thinking. Now, students, you can use your drawings. You can use counters or cubes or a number line or anything to help you solve this story problem. Push pause until you're ready to go over the discussion questions. Welcome back. Here are the discussion questions. With somebody sitting next to you, I would like you to show them where your 7 apples are in your picture or model. Now, show the person that's sitting with you where you showed that 2 apples were eaten. How did you show that? Talk to the person that's sitting with you. Show the person that's sitting with you where the answer is, because that's pretty important. Right, friends, what does your answer represent? Does it represent dirty socks? No. Does it represent broken crayons? No way. What does your answer represent? I heard someone say it. It represents apples. How did you know to subtract? Talk to the person that's sitting with you. Let me show you my thinking. If you need more time, push pause on the video now. Here are my 7 apples. Help me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The X represents the number of apples that I ate. So I started with 7 apples. But remember, in the story, I ate 2. If I eat something, it goes away. There is no more. It is gone and in my tummy. So if I eat 2 apples, they go away. So I put an X over 2 of my apples. So I can start off by drawing 7 circles to represent my 7 apples. I can put an X over 2 of my circles to show that the apples are gone and that I ate them. The 5 circles that are left represent the number of apples that I have now. I subtracted or took away the 2 apples because the problem said ate 2 and how many are left. And I know that if I ate 2 apples, they go away. My equation reads 7 minus 2 equals 5. Now, friends, it is game time. This is called Roll and Adding Story. Students will play this game with a partner. Each person will take a turn rolling the die. Player 1 will roll the die. Player 1 will make up part of the story. So if player 1 rolls a 4, they could say, "There are 4 frogs in the pond." Then player 2 rolls the die. Player 2 will make up the other part of the story. Player 2 rolls a 5, they could say 5 more frogs joined them in the pond. Player 1 and player 2 will work independently to solve the problem, including a picture or model and an equation. Player 1 and player 2 will discuss and compare their thinking. If they agree, they will move on to a new story. You should give about 7 to 10 minutes to play this game. Push pause, and when you're ready to start the rest of the lesson, push play. Believe it or not, this lesson has 2 games. The next game is Roll a Takeaway Story. Students will play this game with a partner. Each person will need their own die. Player A and player B will roll their die at the same time. The player who rolls the larger number will start the story. So if player 1 rolls a 6 and player 2 rolls a 2, we know that player 1 will start and say, "There were 6 grapes in the bowl." Player 2 will say, "I ate 2 grapes." Both players will work independently to solve this problem, including a picture model and an equation. Player 1 and player 2 will discuss and compare their thinking. If they agree, they will move on to a new story. You should give yourself about another 7 to 10 minutes to play this game. When you're done, push play on the video to continue on. All right, friends, now it's time for some independent practice. This is found also in your green folder under Monday. This is an exit ticket for story problems. There are 2 story problems on this paper. Please make sure that you answer them, not only with just a number, but your teacher needs to see a picture or a model and an equation. If you get finished with this lesson and you have time, we would like to see you get at least 20 minutes of iReady finished. If iReady isn't working or you're out of time, that's fine. Remember, no worries right now. Just send your teacher a message letting them know that you ran out of time and weren't able to get on iReady, or that iReady still wasn't working for you at home. Guys, I am so proud of you. Thank you so much for working so hard today. See you tomorrow.